Hello, I'm Father Joe Gambala, pastor of St. Malachy Catholic Church in Sterling Heights, Michigan. Welcome to our third part in our series on Around the World, a search for expressions of faith in God's presence in the beautiful world that we live in. Today we'll be talking about Ethiopia. Back when I was a young priest, I remember reading an article in the New York Times Magazine about a man who was searching for the presence of God. He was searching for faith. And he picked the Christmas season. He wanted to know if he could tell, if you're in a country, if the people were truly celebrating the liturgical season. He wanted to figure out what was the secular celebration and what was an expression of faith. And so he picked England and he picked Ethiopia for his trip. And England, like the United States and most of the Western world, have a very large and extensive Christmas season, which one can go through without ever thinking about Christ. You know, that Santa's there and lots of decorations and lots of shopping. But what he wanted to find out were there any expressions of faith. Could he tell that people were more joyful or more excited about God? Well, where he found it was in Ethiopia. These people are poor. 80% of the people in Ethiopia live on little farm tracts, and they still plow their land with oxen. I thought maybe someday later on in my life, I'll travel to Ethiopia. And a number of years ago, about 4 years ago, I did just that. And I decided to go at the Christmas time as well. And being Orthodox Coptic Christians, their Christmas season is later than ours, so I was able to celebrate the Christmas liturgies here at St. Malachy and then go and experience Christmas in Ethiopia. Well, I was there for the Feast of the Epiphany. And I have to say, it was something. Because the highlight of the day isn't gift giving. The highlight of the day isn't even having a big meal. The highlight is going to the street, and whether in the smallest of villages or the largest of cities, it's the day when the Coptic priest takes out of the Holy of Holies in their little church, where we would put the tabernacle. The Ethiopians have a copy of the Ten Commandments, and they would take that out, and they would have cloths hanging above them, and little bands would play, and girls and boys children would dance, and there was singing, and they would process around and around in the village. They'd go around and around the church. In larger cities where I was in Liabella, they would process down the street in a huge parade of priests with parish after parish after parish, and bands playing and people singing and dancing. And it was all for the glory of God, all for the joy of God. These people had so little, but they were so joyful because God was in their lives. And then for reflecting about that, I said, well, these people live very close to the earth. If there's too much rain, they flood and they'll starve. If the locusts come and the crops get eaten, they'll starve. If the rain doesn't come and the crops dry up, they'll starve. They rely on God for so much in their lives. Yes, they work hard on those little plots of land, but because of the way they live, they know that they need God more than anything else. And that in our world, where we have so much stuff around us, sometimes we can delude ourselves into thinking that we can take care of our own happiness by the things we buy and sell. That's not true. The world, we live in the world, and we need things of the world to live, but the world will never give us true happiness. True happiness comes from God alone. Now, another point I'd like to make in my trip to Ethiopia, and here's me in Ethiopia. I'd like you to notice the building behind me. It's built into the ground. It's a very famous church. It's the Church of St. George. It was built by King Liabella in the 11th century. And there were 12 churches, and he built all of them into the ground. Now you would think, why would he go down instead of up? Well, King Liabella was living in a time when the Muslims had conquered all the coastline along the Red Sea, and Ethiopia was isolated from the rest of the Christian world, between the Muslims on the north and the east and pagan tribes on the south and the west. And being isolated, he knew that it was going to be a tough time for their people, that they would be under stress and under attack. And he built these churches to remind people that the deeper our faith is, the more we can withstand the challenges that are to come. And isn't that true in our lives today? If our foundation is deep in the Lord, no matter what the world throws at us, we're able to resist this because we know God is there with us, giving us the strength we need, not just to endure the challenge, but to overcome it and become stronger as we continue on our way to the heavenly kingdom.